You were born George Allen O'Dowd in South East London in 1961. Your parents were both of Irish descent. Your mum's Christina, or Dinah for short. Your dad was Jeremiah, known as Jerry. You've got 5 siblings, 4 brothers and 1 sister. What was the childhood like for you?
Well, it was, you know, extreme. My dad was quite an extreme man. My dad could lose his temper and, you know, chuck the entire Sunday dinner over and everybody went hungry. He was a gambler. He'd fly off the handle quite easily. But he was also extremely charismatic and funny. He was kind of a real contradiction. And it wasn't until I got to about 15, 16 that I realised how strong my mum was, you know, how she was kind of like a tank, because I didn't realise how much she struggled to keep the whole thing together. You know, my dad, he would gamble everything. So my mum would be out looking for what we used to call potluck stew, going around to the neighbours to see if she could get some scrag ends or whatever, going to the butcher's. So my mum kept the whole thing together. I saw some terrible things when I was very young. You know, lots of, you know, violent incidents and screaming and my mum was quite a strong... My mum was a very strong person. You know, so she would kind of... She would give as much as good as she'd get, but, you know, my dad did hit her.
Punched her?
Yeah. You know, my dad left my mum for another woman after 43 years, which made me very angry. But, you know, even after all of that humility that my dad put her through, you know, when he passed away, you know, she held a ceremony for him, sorry. And it was very moving, you know, to see that. It was very moving.
That power of forgiveness.
Yeah, she's an incredible woman. I didn't think I was going to cry. Yeah, it was, you know, because I remember her saying, I'm not doing it for me, I'm doing it for you, for your kids, which I knew was a lie. But I just thought it was incredibly gracious of her, you know, and it made me really love her. Not that I didn't already, but it made me really, really love her as a person.
When you were just 8 years old, your mother tried to take her own life.
Yeah, she took pills. I remember sort of, you know, keeping her awake and not really understanding what had happened. But, you know, the thing is, I used to tell my mum to leave my dad when I was, like, 9. I mean, I loved my father, don't get me wrong, I really loved him, but, you know, he wasn't a good dad and he wasn't a good husband.
Did he ever try to hit you?
Oh, he hit us all the time.
Punched?
Yeah, punched us. But everyone in the 70s punched you. It was just...
Nobody punched me.
Where did you live?
I'm not sure. It may be because you were around a lot of abuse. You've had this warped idea that this went on all the time. To me, it's very shocking that a father would punch a child.
No, it happened a lot.
But it's a highly abusive atmosphere, isn't it?
It wasn't always like that. Do you know what I mean? It was... when it was bad, it was really bad, and when it was great, you know, and I look back at my childhood and I think some things about it were brilliant and some things about it were traumatic.
He didn't like being alone, your father? No. He'd even get you out of school?
Yeah, I used to go with him to work and go to betting shops. And I used to get, you know, that's how I got all my fashionable clothes, saying, you know, because my dad would go gambling. And he'd say, don't tell your mother. So I'd get a pair of Vivienne Westwood bondage trousers. I was a fully-fledged glam rocker from the age of about 10. Trying to leave the house with makeup on wasn't... My dad wasn't having it. So there were quite a few times where I would sort of sneak to the front door in some sort of creation and be told to get back upstairs and put some sensible clothes on.